Christian denominations in Syria celebrate Christmas as Pope Benedictus XVI calls for finding a political solution to the crisis in Syria. Our armed forces chase terrorists in different areas and inflict heavy losses on them. Al-Ibrahimi meets members of Opposition Coordination Commission and discusses with them ways of ending violence in Syria.
Christmas, everybody. Christmas celebrations this year have been confined to prayers in churches with no congratulations on this holy occasion in view of the events the country is passing through and in honor of the noble martyrs who sacrificed their lives for the sake of the homeland. Sermons and masses were held today by the Christian denominations in Syria in churches and worshipping places. Patriarch Yohanna X Yazigi of Antioch and all the Orient for the Greek Orthodox Church has affirmed that Syria is passing through a storm that targets the region as a whole, which it will defeat thanks to its citizens' cooperation and love for one another. During his reception of the Iraqi president's representative, Abdul Razak Talbani, and the members of Damascus Governorate's Council, who extended congratulations to him on the occasion of Christmas, Patriarch Yazigi offered his best wishes for all the citizens of the region, hoping the present crisis in Syria would end as soon as possible. Patriarch Yazigi said, Christmas is a feast for both Christians and Muslims and all denominations in Syria. He praised what Syria and its citizens have offered to the Arab people in general and the Palestinian and Iraqi peoples in particular. On his part, Bishop Luca Khouri, the Patriarchy deputy, said, "We have prayed to God to keep Syria safe with its Muslim and Christian citizens who have been living together in security and peace." The Iraqi president's representative conveyed to Patriarch Yazigi the greetings and congratulations of Iraqi President Jalal Talibani on the occasion of Christmas, wishing the crisis in Syria would end as soon as possible. Despite the cruel circumstances of Israeli occupation in the occupied Palestinian lands, the Palestinian inhabitants of Bethlehem, the birthplace of Jesus Christ, celebrated Christmas this year in a big mass held at midnight yesterday.
The Nativity Church in Bethlehem witnessed the influx of thousands of Palestinians and foreign visitors who came to celebrate the holy occasion in a big mass held at midnight yesterday. The Christmas tree, which was several meters high, was placed in the city square. The Patriarch of the Latin denomination in Jerusalem and all the Holy Lands, Fuad Tawal, referred in his midnight mass to the harsh circumstances the Palestinian people are suffering from under occupation, as their land and means of livelihood have been confiscated by the occupation authorities. He lauded the Palestinian steadfastness in the face of occupation despite all these difficulties. In his sermon, Patriarch Fuad Tawal said that Christmas this year was different from previous years because the Palestinians had been able to obtain the status of an observer state at the UN. He added that our voice will continue to uphold justice and peace for all the people of the region.
In the Vatican, Pope Benedictus XVI called during the Christmas Mass for finding a political solution to the crisis in Syria and for establishing peace in Palestine, Iraq and Lebanon. Pope Benedictus stressed in his word, which he delivered to thousands of worshippers inside the church and to millions of TV listeners across the globe, the necessity of preserving religious values in the world and maintaining harmony among all religions.
Pax vobis. Frat.
Units of our armed forces killed and wounded a number of terrorists in the city of Dariyah in Damascus countryside, destroying their hideouts. A source told Sana correspondent that army units clashed with the armed terrorist groups near Al-Khulani Mosque and eliminated its members. The source added that another army unit pointed out it clashed with a terrorist group near Al-Radwan hospital in the city, killing and wounding a number of them. A unit of our Syrian Arab army clashed with terrorist groups in the neighborhoods of Al-Jbayle, Al-Hwayqa and Al-Mri'iyya in Deir ez-Zor, killing many of them. Some of the terrorists killed are Ziyad Ahmed Al-Ali Sayer from what is called Al-Qaida Brigade, Muhammad Ali Al-Khalid from Al-Nusra Front, in addition to Qasim Muhammad Sulaiman and Abdullah Al-Ahmad. In Hama, the terrorists targeted a family formed of 4 members, a man, his wife and 2 children, who were in their car on the highway near the village of Morak, killing all members of that family. Meanwhile, a unit of our valiant army clashed with several terrorist groups at the entrance of the village of Morak, which is located on the road between Hama and Idlib, killing many terrorists and injuring dozens of them. Army units clashed today with an armed terrorist group which tried to attack the private national university near Qartal town, south of Hama, killing and wounding a number of them. Sana sources pointed out that a number of terrorists were killed and 5 others were captured, including terrorist Hassan Hardan Atlas. UN envoy to Syria, Al-Akhdar al-Ibrahimi, met today with representatives of the National Opposition Coordination Commission in the Sheraton Hotel in Damascus. In a press conference after the meeting, General Coordinator of the Commission, Hassan Abdul Azim, said that viewpoints of the Coordination Commission on the developments of the crisis in Syria and the efforts to unite the opposition were reviewed during the meeting. The delegation was briefed by al-Ibrahimi on the efforts exerted by him to achieve an international consensus, especially between Russia and the US, to solve the crisis, emphasizing the moderate approach with the cessation of violence and resorting to peaceful solutions to save the Syrian people of the risk of armed fighting, continuous destruction and displacement. Iran renewed its stand supporting Syria in the face of the Western and American schemes, holding the West and the US along with their tools in the region as responsible for the killing of the Syrian people, destroying his institutions and undermining security and stability in the whole region. The Iranian stand was expressed by Iranian Deputy Foreign Minister Hussein Amir Abdullahian during his meeting with Syria's ambassador in Tehran, Adnan Mahmoud, asserting that the only way to get out of the crisis in Syria is through a national dialogue between the government and the different parts of the opposition who reject foreign intervention, terrorism and the use of arms. For his part, Ambassador Mahmoud referred to the efforts to invest the potentials available in both countries in order to overcome the economic war and the unjust sanctions which affect both peoples, pointing out the tangible results of Iran's decision concerning the entry of the Syrian goods into its markets. With this, we end our news bulletin for today. Thank you for watching. For more information about Syria and the region and to view this bulletin again, you can always visit our website in English, syriaonline.sy. And now to latest business and market news with Nariman Qassam after a short break. Merry Christmas.
Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. The Ministry of Economy and Trade allowed the import of lentils, beans and peas from all countries, exempting these from the prohibited materials of import. The Ministry appointed in its decision the allowance period for import till May 2013, under the condition that the imported materials would match the quarantine system that are applicable in Syria, and only if the value would be paid according to the provisions of the Ministry's decision. Deputy Minister of Economy and Trade, Dr. Abdessalam Ali, pointed out that the decision aims at covering the needs for foodstuff in the local market. He added that the allowance period came to help farmers that work in this period to preserve the domestic production. The General Company for Miles said that its plan during the first 9 months of the current year included grinding an amount of 1 million and more than 141,000 tons of wheat, while the actual quantity of wheat which was grinded rose to 1 million and more than 436,000 tons, by an increasing rate of implementation that amounted to 124%. The sales of flour also exceeded the planned quantity, pushing up the rate of implementation into 110%. Reports of the Mile Company pointed out that a number of contracts were signed with several mile companies from the private sector in order to buy 100,000 tons of flour to meet the needs of the market. The number of citizens who benefited from the subsidies offered by urgent aid projects, which are implemented in cooperation between the Ministry of Culture and the FAO organization, has reached 1,886 persons. At least 1,000 of them are farmers and 800 others are ordinary investors. At least 86 women were also among those who benefited from the program. Oil was little changed in New York amid concern that U.S. lawmaker will miss a year-end budget deadline, threatening to weaken the American economy. The U.S. stocks fell after a 5-week high for the Standard & Poor's 500 index amid concerns that President Barack Obama and the Congress will fail to agree on a budget plan. The European stocks retreated from a second straight day for the same reason. The Japanese stocks rose, headed for the top monthly gain since February, as a weaker yen buoyed exporters amid optimism that the incoming Prime Minister will increase pressure on the central bank. Gold futures climbed for the first time in 4 days as the incoming Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe pressured the central bank to raise its inflation target, boosting demand for bullion as a safe haven. The yen is up from a 20-month low on speculations that monetary easing bets had driven the Japanese currency down too rapidly. The yen earlier weakened against the dollar after Japan's incoming Prime Minister said he may change the law governing the central bank. Ladies and gentlemen, this was our economic news for today. Thank you for watching. Merry Christmas.